What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So yesterday, after this negotiation, this debt ceiling negotiation, this big meeting at the White House with the Speaker and the leaders in the Senate, I watched them talk about it. Watched Speaker McCarthy and Leader McConnell talk about what their progress thus far. And that's what I want to talk about in this video. And this is very important. This is very important for everyone, especially if you're retired, because right now we're facing an economic disaster and these politicians are still playing games. So I want to talk about this. But first off, if you guys can do me a favor, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell notification, and then click all. By clicking all, you'll get notified anytime we post a video. We do daily videos here, so by clicking the bell notification, clicking all, you should be getting updated every day. And just a reminder, if you're not getting notifications, let me know in the comments below. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this, because I watched the press conference after the meeting, and Speaker McCarthy is sticking to his guns, basically. The way he looks at it is, look, we passed the bill, and that's the bill. If we're not going to do anything else, we're really not going to negotiate any further, is basically what I'm seeing here. Because the talk, when it came to, okay, well, what do you actually want to cut? They haven't even provided that yet. All the Speaker is saying is that he wants to roll back spending to 2022 numbers. And so what you have to understand when he's saying that, in 2022, they had a certain budget. That budget was increased in 2023. So now these agencies are receiving more money. And so what he wants to do is he wants to roll it back. So that's where the cuts are coming in, because in 2023, they have a certain budget, and now we're going to cut back to 2022 numbers. However, Speaker McCarthy has not indicated exactly where the cuts are going to come from. He hasn't said that yet. He says, let's roll it back, but we don't know exactly what's getting cut and what's not getting cut. If we're just looking at it across the board, let's say the Social Security Administration gets $100 for their budget. Now, I'm exaggerating, but let's just say they get $100 for their budget in 2023. We don't know if they're going to pull back 20% or if they're going to pull back 50%. So now instead of getting $100, they're only going to get $50 for spending. So we don't know exactly, because the Speaker hasn't come out with the itemized cut. So we don't know exactly where it's coming from. And that's by design. They don't want the public to know exactly where these cuts are coming from until they reach kind of a deal. And then they can say, okay, well, this is what we have to do. We have to make this cut, make that cut. Because if we know that money is going to be cut from certain areas, the Veterans Affairs is another area that they've been talking about. And the Speaker yesterday, he said, no, we have actually more money going to Veterans Affairs. But we don't know that because they haven't provided that information to us yet. All they're saying is they want to roll back spending into 2022. If you roll back spending into 2022, there will be cuts to the Veterans Affairs, because Veterans Affairs received more money in 2023, so you're going to be rolling it back. So that's the first thing. We don't have all the information. The second thing that we need to really focus on is these politicians, they're not going to budge. Speaker McCarthy can't budge, because Republicans in the House, they put this bill together and they're not going to back away from it. And so even if you pass something in the Senate, which is going to be very, very hard to do, even if you pass something in the Senate, the House is still not going to go along with it, because Speaker McCarthy cannot move from where he is right now. He is in a really tough position. It might look, and he might try to make it look like he has the leverage, but he doesn't have the leverage. He doesn't have the leverage because he can't make adjustments to this bill. We also need to look at how they're doing things. And this is what's really sad, because the American people are going to suffer if we go into a default. And if we go into a default, it's because these politicians are playing political games. It's simple as that. We're looking at debt ceiling and we're looking at the budget. Two separate things. Debt ceiling, this is the money that we've already spent. We need to pay for those bills. When it comes to the budget, that's future. And so we're talking about two separate bills. That's what we should be talking about. Two separate bills, but they want to put those bills together. And the reason why they want to put those bills together is because they want to make drastic cuts. If they weren't making drastic cuts, this would not matter. But when we're looking at the debt ceiling, if they raise the debt ceiling, that has no effect on future spending. And so when we're hearing all this talk, when we hear these politicians saying, we spend too much money, yes, you guys spend too much money. We pay our taxes and you guys spend all our money on things that you shouldn't be spending our money on. I think the average American would agree with that. However, if we've spent money already, you need to step up and go ahead and pay for those bills. And then moving forward, yes, let's have a budget where we're not spending as much money as we spent in the past. I'm all for that. But when you put the two together, that's where you have a problem. Because in a normal situation, you don't need to tie the debt ceiling to the budget. Why? Because in September, every year, they have the budget talks. And if we can't come to a budget, then we're looking at a government shutdown. Every year you have that. And so why are we discussing it right now? Why is the focus on it right now? Because the reality is there's still time to discuss this. And Speaker McCarthy knows this, but he's trying to use that debt ceiling in order to crash our economy. And before I didn't want to look at it this way, but it's almost on purpose, I think, because this shakes up our economy. This shakes up Wall Street. This shakes up everybody when it comes down to it. And Speaker McCarthy knows that. He knows that this is going to shake up everything, and that's why he's taking this hard stance on we're not going to move forward until you agree to these demands. And so we're in serious danger of a default. There's not going to be a resolution that comes out of this. There just will not be. The only thing that the president can do is he can invoke the 14th Amendment and maybe move forward that way, and we don't even have to worry about this whole debt ceiling and raising the debt ceiling. And when it comes to the debt ceiling, this is really silly that we have these conversations because Congress controls spending. And if we do focus on budgets every year, then we don't have to even worry about the debt ceiling because you're not going to be overspending because you have a budget that you're going by. But we don't follow the budget, and that's why we have the problems that we have now, because there's always something that comes up where you need to spend. And whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, they're all spending money. During the Trump administration, they spent at the same levels that President Biden is spending now. And so how is that happening? How do you have Speaker McCarthy actually voting to raise the debt ceiling 3 times during the Trump administration? And now all of a sudden, you know what? We have to tie them together. We have to put a bill together that we know will not be popular, will not go anywhere. But we're going to do that because we want to hold the debt ceiling hostage and hold the American people hostage, because that's what it comes down to. And so what will happen in the next 2 weeks? In the next 2 weeks, we're probably going to see the Senate try to put something together, try to put some type of a bipartisan bill together to raise the debt ceiling and have the cuts if they want to make the cuts. That's what we're probably going to see. But you're going to need 60 votes. So that means you're going to need all the Democrats to vote for this. And then you're going to need 10 Republicans. That's what we're looking at right now. And I'm saying this because I don't know if Senator Feinstein will be voting. I don't know that whole situation. So if Senator Feinstein is not voting, then you're going to need 10 votes. If Senator Feinstein is voting, then you'll need 9 votes from Republicans. So they still have work to do. They have a lot of work to do. And so we're just going to have to follow the story and see where it goes. But it's really sad. It is really sad that these politicians are playing politics, and then they're saying, well, we don't want to make this political, but that's what you're doing. You're making it political. And one more thing, Speaker McCarthy continues to say this. He, in the press conference right outside the White House, as well as the press conference that he did later, he kept saying, we raised the debt ceiling. We voted to raise the debt ceiling. We voted to raise the debt ceiling. That's all he's telling you, is that they voted to raise the debt ceiling, but he's not telling you about the cuts. And I know you're saying cuts are good. We shouldn't be spending as much as we're spending. However, they're good, but it depends on where you're cutting. And some of the stuff that they've taken off the table, defense spending off the table. They're not cutting anything when it comes to defense spending. So everything else, that's what's on the table. And so I just find that really interesting as well, is if you're going to make cuts, make them across the board. They need to happen across the board. We spend a lot of money. The majority of our money is going into our defense. And so if that's the situation, you're going to have to make those hard decisions and make some cuts when it comes to defense, as well as making cuts in these other agencies. But right now, all you're going to hear Speaker McCarthy saying, we did our job. We negotiated a bill that raises the debt ceiling. But if you're not trying to work in a bipartisan fashion to pass a bill to raise the debt ceiling, then it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. We elect these politicians to go to Congress to represent the American people, both sides, both Democrats and Republicans, negotiate deals that are bipartisan. And in this situation, this is a partisan bill. And if he really wants to help the American people and raise the debt ceiling, he needs to get a bill together in the House with Democrats and Republicans on board, pass that, send it over to the Senate. But that's not what's going to happen because he's already dug in. They voted. That's it. And so now we're going to be looking at the Senate to see what they do and if they can move forward with anything. So I'm going to keep you guys posted. So make sure you subscribe, hit that little bell notification. But this is, we're looking at an economic disaster right now. And just when things are starting to get better, when we're looking at our economy, we're looking at inflation dropping every month. That's good. We're hearing that this recession might not be as bad as what we thought. We're looking at a soft landing when it comes to our economy. So things are looking good right now. But in 2 weeks, we could be looking at a situation where we drop into a deep recession and millions of people lose their job. This is not good. It's just really not good. I want to know what you guys think down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one.